3, 2, 1. Where's my snare? That was a quote from Eminem, who is loosely tied to the film Venom: The Last Dance in the sense that he made a song for the first one. But I feel like I've already done Knock Knock Let the Devil In, or That's an Awfully Hot Coffee Pot as an intro. So I don't know.
Yeah, you have.
I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks. This is Sardonicast.
I'm Alex from HE, and we are Venom.
No.
You like that?
No, I don't. I hate it.
No?
I actually hate it a lot.
No, I'm sold on the voice now.
No.
I'm funny Venom.
Yeah, what if Venom was... Literally, what if Venom was Scooby-Doo, basically?
Oh my god.
Venom used to be fuckable until this trilogy. That voice...
You're in that camp, a Venom fan? Did you like the Spider-Man 3 Venom? You found, I can't remember who played him now.
Topher Grace?
Topher Grace. Did you want
When
to
I say Venom, I
Venom?
don't mean the man underneath the symbiote. I mean the symbiote in the shape of a man. I can forget about who the host is, right? So it has nothing to do with Eddie Brock. But the voice of Venom in this movie is just absolutely unfuckable.
The ultimate turnoff.
Yeah, honestly. And you know what really pisses me off about it? Is that there's a few points within this film, Venom: The Last Dance, where you can hear what it could have been. And he's doing like a really cool sounding fuckable voice. There's like moments where like he's like in his own head, and then you can hear him, you know, there's maybe a handful of lines where he's not going, right, Reggie, hey, ready, we are Venom. Like, fuck, Jesus Christ.
Did you get to the Venom from the latest Spider-Man game? Did you hear his voice?
That kind of voice? I forget. I played that whole game, and I don't...
far enough to get to.
No, yeah, I played the whole thing.
You finished it?
Yeah, I did finish it, but I have no memory of this.
Well, yeah, but I guess Venom was in that. I can't really remember the voice. It's quite a forgettable game, to be honest, but the Venom was definitely in there, and he was saying stuff, and I don't remember it sounding like Scooby-Doo, anyway. I
feel like if it tickled me in that way, I would have remembered something.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah.
True. Remembered something like the opposite of my experience with this movie. I watched it like a couple days ago, and I'm like struggling to even remember what Venom: The Last Dance is even about.
That's a good question, actually.
Like the first thing I noted down was it's instant schlock. Instant. Like seconds it takes, and it's instant schlock. It's like a fake meme movie. And I kind of liked it for that, if I'm being real. I wasn't bored.
Oh.
It's so bad.
You weren't bored, but you forgot everything.
Yeah, it was kind of like, man, you know, like so many people describe movies as just like, that was fun. And it's like, because you haven't thought about it on any level, and there's nothing to even break down.
Where am I?
It's kind of like that, you know? It's like, yeah, who am I?
That distracted me from the pain of existence for 2 hours. But I had no meaningful experience with it. I was just distracted.
Under 2 hours even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I wasn't thinking about like my back pain or whatever for like an hour and 50 minutes.
Successful distraction. Damn, that should be like a rating classification.
On the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the like poster. Successful distraction.
Yeah.
And it seems to work out of like, because we had a toss up. We had a coin flip between doing this one or the new Sony Craven movie.
Yeah.
Which
Crazen.
Sounds hilarious too. Crazy. But I don't think either of us wanted to go out in this cold winter month to go check out that one in cinema day one.
Yeah.
For its efforts.
Well, no, so it wasn't even a coin flip. It was an educated decision because we haven't seen at the time we hadn't seen Venom: The Last Dance yet, and that was on digital already. And if neither of us see Craven, the dried cranberry movie, then it'll get to digital sooner.
The Hunter.
Right?
Yes.
So if everybody doesn't see it, then we get it on digital sooner. So I think that that's a good strat, personally. I think it's going to work. We're going to see it on digital in like a month or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Venom, unlike Morbius or Craven, people actually go and see Venom. They love Venom. People want to see Venom. Like, this film is making tons of money with a budget only $10 million higher than the previous awful one, which wasn't fun to me. That one was boring and like annoying to me. And just like, wait, I don't know. Maybe I'm just more expecting this kind of thing at this point, but like, I don't know.
Maybe you were just in different moods. Because I feel like I had this same experience with all three of these films. Like,
really, I think each one offers a slightly different experience.
Yeah, slightly. But you're acting as if you had fun with one and didn't have fun with another.
I honestly think this was the one I had the most fun with. You know?
Okay. Because your expectations were set.
They're so low. They're astronomically low. And it's like, what can they even do at this point?
Horse venom.
You know? And they've got like xenomorphs running around. Horse venom, the animal thing is pretty funny. And it's like, it doesn't have like the serial killer stuff from the previous one. And I don't know, after that first Venom, I guess there's just that misplaced hope of like, maybe they'll do something different. Maybe Andy Serkis was directing it instead of this random. The only reason I know this first-time director is that it's the wife of the lead singer of a band I like called Future Islands. That's the only link I have to this random woman. It just feels like they're just handing out Venom movies just to whoever sort of feels like it. Feels a bit of a Venom vibe. And it doesn't really matter. There's no voice in any of the Venom movies. They're all just kind of like assembly line products. It's directed by whoever is animating those goo scenes. That's the real director of these movies, because that's the only reason anyone's seeing them. The only reason anyone pays attention to these. But yeah, this was the first one that was like introducing I can't believe I'm even saying this, levels, I guess, to the rules of this bullshit world. In a way where I was like, okay, I guess you're doing something instead of nothing with this, like, reach the codex, Eddie, we got to knowledge coming, all this kind of bullshit. It was just hyper schlock in a way that was like, well, that just kind of flew by. And at first I was more on the, like, with the second movie when they were talking about the MCU and making jokes about Thanos, and I'm like, oh my god, no. Is this going to be like a jumping through portals Deadpool Wolverine thing again? Is Venom doing it now? But luckily that was just kind of the intro of the movie.
Yeah. And
which I thought was great.
He said out loud, I'm so done with multiverse shit.
Mm-hmm.
He said that as a line in the film so that the audience can relate to the cultural shift.
Everyone's sick of it now.
In how everyone is done with multiverses. And so the film is very self-aware, you see.
That's why everyone loves the Venom character, is his self-awareness and wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nudge to the audience.
He's like a Deadpool type.
Yeah. That's not, people aren't even sick of it either. It's just, as long as Deadpool's in it, then it'll be fine.
People aren't sick of any of the shit that they say they're sick of. Remember when people said they were sick of fucking member-berry shit, and then everybody loved Alien Romulus? Go fuck yourselves. You guys don't even you don't even know what you don't even know what you want. You're just pretending to say things.
Yeah. I mean, as is a lot of the dialogue in this movie. It just feels like they hadn't really written anything down and were just like on a set that they paid lots of money for. I'm like, I don't know, do a TikTok dance. What are you thinking, Tom? What's your funny idea to make this scene work? Oh, how about we painfully sit here saying we are Venom for like what feels like 15 minutes while they're out of sync trying to say it together like I don't know, that felt
cringe?
Like very attempted cringe? A joke from, hyper cringe.
Giga cringe.
Obviously. Giga cringe. But that felt like something from, that's like parody writing from like decades ago at this point. We're totally going to need to work on that. And then he bites the heads off the people and it's like...
A PG-13 decapitation scene. With no blood. Very fun.
Yeah. And the first, I was reading PG-13 film to have the word motherfucker used in it by the actor who was the lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
Oh.
Like, all these actors, it's so incestuous, like these Hollywood casting decisions, that it's like all of these actors that are in this film are in other superhero movies.
Yeah, it's like a more expensive
Tom Hardy was Bane.
Wes Anderson universe.
Yeah. Much worse. Like Chiwetel Ejiofor is randomly in this film.
Yeah.
I think he was in Doctor Strange. Yeah, Rhys Ifans
Big
was
two.
the lizard in the Spider-Man movies. It's like, yeah, it's a real incestuous thing going on. Because at first when I saw the Rhys Ifans character, who's like this Area 51 obsessed nut who is... I don't even know why that whole thing was in the movie.
Yeah, that was the stupidest fucking thing to ever happen. Like, those characters existing and how they influenced the plot and like those pretend emotions where it's like, let's give Tom Hardy like a real connection moment with this little boy. And it's like, that's all he's there for. So the little boy can go, I'm falling. Like, you big good kid, here's some chocolate. Like,
because
fuck, that's it.
I was convinced that whole Area 51 family was going to be like some comic book reference to a Venom that I don't know, because I was confused by the casting of Rhys Ifans for that like side character. I figured, I guess they're going to get their money's worth of this known actor and make him a Venom as well, because like that's, I guess, spoilers, like lots of different Venoms like appear in this movie. I figured that has to be the way it's going, but no, you're right. It tries to go for this sentimentality angle.
Oh yeah, completely
not
unearned.
just with that family. It's like the whole, yeah, exactly. All of it's completely unearned with that, where they're trying to be like, skip into that like montage towards the end, where it's like a montage of like cringy scenes from the Venom trilogy, and it's like trying to be Kung Fu Panda 2 or something, trying to bring up those emotions in a genuine way, which obviously doesn't work, and it was funny to me as far as that stuff, where it's like, you tasteless, just barefaced motherfuckers.
Yeah.
With what you're doing with this, that shameless like TikTok dance in the middle with the recurring Asian lady from all three, where they're like, that's the only thing we've got, that woman from the shop, remember her?
Oh,
remember,
that was her.
Now she's dancing and she's in Vegas, and I'm sure. Oh, did you not recognize
I didn't remember any. Like, you're asking me to recall events from films that have left my mind palace.
Yeah. I can't really blame you for that one, to be fair. But that was a good scene when they're in Vegas and Venom's gambling.
That's you know what pissed me off about that is like, this is gonna sound so stupid, but if you're gonna even do a caricature of like gambling addiction, you have to have them win once. Otherwise, why are they addicted? You don't get addicted to the losing part. You win once, and then you get the dopamine or whatever rush, and then you're like, oh, I think I can win it. But they didn't care, and it's like, okay, it's a Venom movie. I guess they're not supposed to care. Then why do anything? You could just do it. Like, if they don't care, you could just
But so many of the scenes in all of the Venom movies are that way, where it's just like this vignette kind of style almost, where scenes don't really link to each other or matter. It's just kind of like these one-off gags. Like you mentioned the decapitation scene, which was very Morbius. Cool. It felt like a Morbius scene, you know, where he does the Venom reference, at least in the trailer. I can't even remember if he does it in the film proper or not. It's been a while since Morb.
I think
but it was like the same scene.
Maybe.
Like he says he's Venom in this. I can't remember.
That was the same
I remember
scene.
him saying that, but I can't remember if it's in marketing or in the actual film or
Yeah.
not, or if they changed it.
That's a good Mandela question.
Yeah. But yeah, this juvenile, like, kids TV show level writing, but trapped in this, I guess it's PG-13. It's like masquerading as something that it's not. It's like, yeah, with the last dance of Venom, we're getting edgy. We're rounding off these characters. We're showing you all the Venoms that you have yet to see. And even from the first Venom movie, when they're introducing other Venoms, I'm like, am I supposed to know who this is? Like, there are like 20 Venoms by the end of this, like, trilogy. I don't know why I'm supposed to care about any of it, and like they're added to Fortnite, and there's all these articles like they've added poison, the crazy Venom everyone loves, golden Venom's in it finally, all this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, but who is this actually for though? I just feel like a true Venom fan wouldn't really like this. They like the edgy stuff, right? They want to see. Do they want to see the goofy buddy cop humor?
Apparently, it's made a fucking shit ton of money. So apparently, yeah. Apparently, you know, I think that as long as you make a superhero movie that's not woke, then the comic book fans will just eat up whatever it is handed to them. You know?
I don't know. I don't even know if that's true, because in the second movie, there's a whole scene where Venom, he's got like the rainbow flag, and he's at like a queer event of some kind. So I think it's as simple as just if there's a CG ape, people will see it. And if there's like CG goo or just like monsters, CG monsters and like animals and stuff like that, people will see it. I think like we're thinking too complicated. It's like
I think
go
also,
down a layer and go 2 layers below that, and then you're at where this film is.
I think very much the humor that we find painful is just stuff that people like, because it's literally just basically Deadpool brand humor. Right?
Yeah, it's cut from the same cloth.
It's that caliber of writing. So I don't know. People enjoy it. People like it. We are Venom.
It's like, it's just that dialogue.
Hola,
bitches. Yeah. I noted down a line of dialogue. I have a really dark and unpredictable side to me.
Oh.
Like, what is this? It's awesome,
dude. They had horse venom in the marketing, and then the scene was only 40 seconds. And then in that 40-second scene, 30 seconds of it was Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. And I was like, you fucking assholes. Like, I'm so sick. I find it funny that literally nobody in the past year has even shared a single frame from that Mario movie that everybody was pretending was so great, but it's just mysteriously escaped the culture. But there's one thing that I remember about it, and I feel like I'll always remember that movie for this, is its soundtrack. It's the most egregious example of let's see if we can get ChatGPT to tell us what songs should be in the movie, basically, right? It's the checklist of like, oh, this has nothing to do with our film, but this is the playlist of like karaoke songs that are in the culture that have appeared in other movies, right? That's what the Mario movie... Yeah, it makes you feel good,
you know it, you can like tap your foot along to it,
yeah. I'm always going to remember the Mario movie for that, because I don't think that there's a worse example. I don't think that there's a better example for how bad that has ever been in a movie. And so now just watching Venom: The Last Dance, you know, there's a few different scenes where I'm like, oh shit, they're doing the Mario movie thing. And that was one of them.
And the Mario movie one is, yeah, probably one of the worst ones, because Koji Kondo, the legendary composer, composer did create a bunch of original music for it, which they didn't use.
That's funny.
It's actually. Like, what? that's so insulting. But yeah, the needle drops are, oh my god, they are insulting in this film. But all 3 of the Venom movies do that. It's like the whole Venom concept. They made 3 movies of this, like 6 hours worth of Venom content here, and they don't do a single interesting or creative thing with the Venom concept. You know? Like when I saw the trailer for this movie, seeing the animals, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. You could do like something at least humorous with that. They're going for the more comedic tone. They don't give a shit about like the action being good or any other element that would be what I would want to see from a Venom film. So let's see if you do something funny with the concept, which they don't do.
It was just like end credits.
It gets to a level of schlock where there's like a chase scene through like a river, and like Venom is jumping from like a fish to a frog, and it's like,
and he gets caught in a net. Funny. He's a symbiote. He wasn't even like no one was.
It just doesn't make sense.
He was caught in a net, but he's a goo. Like, why is the net catching him? He can go through it. He's goo.
Yeah, I thought that action scene was hilarious. The whole stuff in the desert was maybe the peak of the movie, from the horse stuff onwards, for just how like legendarily terrible that whole sequence is, and just like CG Tom Hardy like flailing around on the back of this CG horse, like jumping through the desert like Ang Lee's Hulk.
Oh yeah,
I was kind of there for that. That was kind of funny.
That was so short-lived though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's more of a sort of emphasis on the different Venoms and this whole the audacity of like trying to build up their Thanos type character, this Null guy who's played by Andy Serkis,
The Witcher.
Yeah, who like we might see, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I know it was a 3-picture deal with Tom Hardy, but like they make so much money. I don't know. We might see Null. But the whole sort of like setup for this movie is that they go into a pet peeve of mine, which I can't stand in like so many like science fiction or fantasy ideas, where it's like, we got to go to the root of this and explain every single element of it. This is where the Venoms come from. This is who created the Venoms, and the Venoms actually were created by this elf guy who's out there in the galaxy, who was imprisoned by the Venoms. And when a Venom, oh my god, when a Venom finds a host, but the host dies, then a codex is created. There's a nice little flashback of that first movie to remind you, because you definitely wouldn't remember it.
I didn't.
And that allows these creatures, I keep wanting to call them xenomorphs, but they'll call something xenophage, something like that.
Xenomorph.
They look like, yeah, they look like xenomorphs. Predators. They look like, if you AI generated a like alien creature, you know, the most generic alien creature you've ever seen. There's like an army of these bug aliens that have the ability to see the codex, which is within Tom Hardy and Venom's combination. And they put that a little restriction on them, where they can only be tracked when he's in Venom form.
You absorbed a lot of exposition that I didn't. I am learning about the film right now.
I'm taking notes. I'm paying attention to this.
I was taking notes about other things.
Yeah, so you can imagine the kind of drama that comes from that, the tension.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. A lot of drama and tension. It was a very focused story, and it's just so much to unravel. The stakes were there.
Oh, I like the line, how does Tom Cruise do this, when CG Venom and Tom Hardy are like clinging to the top of a plane?
Yeah.
It's just a level of schlock that just goes beyond those first two for me, where it's like every other scene is just something so stupid. So like, oh my god, this is like focus tested to the extreme, as you're saying, with like that music choice and everything like that. And going back to that whole TikTok dance, which was like, my mouth was like agape for that whole thing. Where it's like, this fan service, this like, like, what are we doing here? What's the purpose of this outside of just like selling tickets to? I guess it works. I don't even know like how to critique it when it like works so well, and we're on like the third one of these, and it's like nothing's really changed. Like they have all these like class actors in there who are way better than this, and for some reason in this one, like all British for some reason. Just taken over. British people are like Venom symbiotes, like in Hollywood. They're just like taken over from the inside out. But you're like, what are we doing here? Now that's horsepower, dude.
I find it annoying. So like, they thought it was so funny to add the layer of like, but what if it was an epically bad hangover day? And so throughout the first half of the movie, he's like, I'm hungover still. He says that out loud. Sometimes he like kind of shows it. But as the movie progresses, they kind of just forget about it. Like,
yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, like the movie forgot about it. In the second half of the movie, he's not acting like it at all. He's just kind of like doing a normal thing as if he wasn't. And it's like, well, dude, like you established this, right? He did. There should be a scene where he's like trying to drink water or something. I don't know.
And so, yeah, now you bring that up. I think that is the only character trait that Tom Hardy's character has in this film, is that he has a hangover.
Yeah.
And he's nice to a little boy. Like he doesn't actually like really want or care about anything. It's more about just like trying to beat or run away from. It's just endless chase sequences with these like big spider monsters.
There's epic action happening, but I'm so hungover, and that makes it funnier than if I wasn't. I had a tequila.
Yeah, but when Venom says sausages, though, that was fire.
Oh.
Sausages. Yeah. Oh man, like this dialogue, these references. I've watched Rain Man.
Yeah.
Really? Like, holy shit. Like singing David Bowie. You're upset by that Queen scene. I was upset by the David Bowie scene.
Yeah. Oh, that was a funny one. Yeah. They had a sing along.
Yeah.
I was thinking about you.
Like yeah, because I was toe tap and I stood up and I did start singing along, and I guess that's why they made this. So the whole audience can stand up and cheer and shout for Venom, dancing with the Asian lady from the whole trilogy, the standout character from this trilogy.
Yeah. She connects them.
Who even
all.
got a cameo in the Good Spider-Mans.
True.
Why'd they do that? Why the
she
fuck
connects
did they do
them
that?
all. She's the real Madam Web, not that phony.
And this whole angle of like they can't decide how anti-hero they want Tom Hardy / Venom to be, because by the end they're kind of making out, yeah, we're the heroic protectors or whatever. But in the casino sequence, he like just straight up assaults someone who's just working there doing his job, like
oh yeah, and gets away with it.
And it's like
in like one of the highest security areas you could be like on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, with cameras yeah, it's just absurd.
Yeah. He goes into the same casino after he beat up the guy like guarding the door, and he's fine. And he goes and gambles and breaks a machine and too.
I remembered another character attribute of Tom Hardy in the movie. He not only is hungover, but he always is barefoot.
Oh yeah, he keeps losing his shoes.
That was another. Yeah, that was another one. So it's quite like slapstick comedy, like.
Yeah,
or at least an attempt on it.
Yeah, we mentioned the dumb family, but for people who haven't seen the movie, I just want to explain how stupid this is. So he comes he's in the desert. Comes across a family that's doing like an RV trip. So like 2 kids and some parents. And they're just people that really want to see some aliens. And so they're going
That's literally it, yeah.
To Area 51. And they eventually, they get there. And it just so happens that that's where Tom Hardy's going. They both wind up at the same place, independent of each other, basically. And they get there at night, and they'd crawl under the fence because there's like an existing hole in the fence. And the kid's like, I'm going. And then the whole family's like, yes, this is a good idea. And it's like, I don't know. Aren't you going to get shot? What are you doing? And then them going to like the top of like a fucking lookout tower in the middle of Area 51, and then they're only there so that when the action happens, it can start falling, and then they could be like, "Oh, we're falling, but slowly. We're not falling quite yet, but we will be, and you have a chance to save us." Which is like kind of like the ending of Madam Web. And then Venom obviously saves them because it's like, "Oh no, the little child who gave me chocolate earlier. Oh, I shared a moment with this little brat who can't act."
Which, yeah, going back to that kind of weird anti-hero angle, I think it's that very scene where Venom is still like with the Venom goo face. It's like right up with that child, and he's like, "Don't be scared."
He's like, never a villain ever in the entire movie. He only eats bad guys. He is no more like. If this is the standard, then fucking Deadpool's more of a villain, obviously. Deadpool's way more chaotic and immoral, right? You can't
because he only eats the heads of those people who are specifically established to be like dogfights.
Yeah,
right?
like
they
puppy
gotta, like, conjure
torturers.
Yeah, exactly. The most evil people comically possible. So then it's like there's nothing challenging about those deaths.
Yeah.
Nothing. But why they got to protect Venom this way? Like, surely you'd get an audience more engaged if it was more of like a, ooh, he's so Venom. You know? There's even a line I noted down. When there are like 50 Venoms, one of them says, "We are not the bad guys." And it's like, we're on the 3rd movie of these where the Venoms have caused like hundreds of deaths, right, at this point. So, how are you not the bad guys? I thought your explicit goal was to take over Earth. Like, I guess we've just forgotten that. I guess it just doesn't matter, does it? We are not the bad guys.
No, I mean, in the first movie, he was like, I was actually an incel on my planet.
Kind of a loser.
I was a dweeb. and I got bullied by the other symbiotes. So I'm like cool with just like being a good guy, actually. I want to point your attention towards this poster from the first movie. And this is how they marketed it. It says, "The world has enough superheroes."
Yeah.
So before the movie came out, like they were really leaning into, this is a villain movie, right? This is a movie of villains.
That's the expectation.
Not once. Not once in the entire fucking trilogy was he a villain. I'm sorry. He's just a hero who happens to be black and gooey.
Yeah.
He's just a
it's
goopy
so like
hero.
cowardly. Is that simply just because of, well, laziness probably, and wanting the PG-13 just for the broadest box office return?
I mean, you could, first of all,
because then they'd have to get creative, which would be hard. You know, that would take effort.
No.
You know,
it's not even a matter of creativity. You could have done it just as lazily and had him be a villain. There's lazy ways to do that. Ideally, it would be rated R. Yes, I agree. It has more to do with thinking that people wouldn't like it as much if he wasn't a hero. Because in terms of the business decisions behind these movies, they're thinking like, oh, no, we need people to relate to the character, right? Which just completely goes against the point of making it a villain movie. Although, sure, there are villain movies where tons of people relate to the villain character, right?
Yeah.
You know, you can make a villain sympathetic, or you can just have it be cool and fun, and then maybe the wrong crowd will take away the wrong message or whatever. Like, who cares? It doesn't really matter. Just make a villain movie. He's a villain. Why?
Yeah.
It's true. What you said on the poster is true. The world has enough superheroes. The fucking Marvel universe has enough superhero movies. Make a villain movie.
This is a problem they created, though.
I know.
Like, he didn't have to be in a film by himself. You know, he could have been a villain. He's the villain of a pretty famous character. Everyone knows. Like, that's, I don't. Oh man, it's just such a strange. And I hate that they've been successful. That's what really grinds my gears about all this. Because like that's what makes Morbius is hilarious. Madam Web, that's great that those pieces of shit were made and like didn't make money and just embarrassed a lot of people. Where this is like, this movie's making people's years. It's making like hundreds of millions of dollars for this company, and that sucks for how like just lazy.
We're teaching them that they're doing the right thing. We are rewarding their laziness and incompetence.
But like, what is the material difference between the Venoms and a Morbius or a Madame Web? Well, they all have the same problems, really. They're all kind of equally lazy. Maybe the cast is a bit more expensive here, but like, is it just the goo?
It's the goo.
The goo angle? Is it as simple as that?
The title says Venom, and he goes, ready. That's like that literally sucks. It's a matter of, I think a lot of it is like character design. I think people just, if you show Venom on the poster, like people like Venom as a design of a character. People want to touch that goo. Yeah.
He's definitely more recognizable than a Morbius or a Madame Web or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I do find that funny because Venom is like the most famous villain from Spider-Man, right? Right?
He's probably in top 5, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas like Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, Morbius, like everybody's just learning about them for the first time when they see the poster. Which I find funny that they decided to do that.
It's all kind of, yeah, and it's all kind of off Venom's back, right? Like they made one Venom and was like, oh, great success. Let's greenlight a whole universe of this.
Yeah, let's do more.
Out. And now we're like paying the consequences. Yeah. And the only ones that have made money are the Venom movies. So you just know they're going to have the complete wrong takeaways though. So just double down on Venom spin-offs and other Venom attacks. Because I don't even know if it even needs Tom Hardy for these Venom movies to make money. I think it is as simple as the CG goo monsters. People will go and watch it. Like
Tom Hardy does not need to be there.
Literally is that. No one has to be there. Like, just make it a full goo movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for now.
It's interesting just hiring someone like Oscar winner Chiwetel. Like, he won an Oscar, right? Did he win for 12 Years a Slave?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, just hiring like a high caliber actor that is probably like relatively expensive for a role where, you know, Venom fans don't know who he is. Right? And he's not
No.
acting well enough that you're getting your money's worth, because the writing's so shit it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's that casting for? Film buffs that love
I don't know.
award-winning films.
Yeah, like there's a lot of money that just gets wasted in these productions.
Yeah. It must be, I don't know, it must be just like friendly relationships. So it's like, you know what, Schwetzel, do you just want like a huge lump sum of cash for like the easiest work of your whole career? And it's like, can you really blame them for saying sure? Like Stephen Graham's in here is one of my favorite like British character actors. He's amazing. And again, he's just like wasted in this. He was in the second movie and they bring him back for some reason. And he's kind of like the doomsday, oh, it's coming, they're gonna get us, the aliens are coming, type character. And he's like trying, I guess, with what he can do, but what he can do is very little with like just the framing of all of this. There's nothing. And they have these random Venom like B plots with the Juno Temple character, who there's this like whole hero moment where she becomes, I guess, a Venom I don't know, who's like really fast or something, for this whole like crescendo action sequence. It's like, it's almost like edited and put together in a way to be like, yeah, look, it's that Venom. You know that Venom?
It's for the fans.
And it's like, I guess it's for the fans, huh?
This movie's for the fans.
And
it's for Angry Joe.
Yeah, is he a big Venom guy?
I don't know. I assume so.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm making that assumption. I don't know.
When
he likes DC.
The whole Area 51 angle, like the whole reason that's in the film at all is because they kind of establish that like the real Area 51 is empty, but there's the Imperium program that it's got like 5 Venom symbiotes stored in another facility in the desert. And that's where all the Venoms come from or something. And they've got to like work together, because the whole like last half hour of the movie is like a million Venoms like fighting these spider creatures, or one spider creature, because they're so powerful and strong and can regenerate. And yeah, it just becomes, I guess, like a mess of goo, like the third act in all 3 of these movies becomes. At least this time there's like a spider monster, I guess. If that tickles your whistle. I won't forget you, buddy.
Ugh. Yeah, that pisses me off to no end. The amount of forced, fake, phony, unearned, sentimental, emotional moments in this film. It's like, okay, 60% of this at least is just nonsense, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm going to say the words out loud. Like, I don't like multiverses anymore. We're riding a horse right now. Isn't that funny? Like,
it's like a comedy tone. Like, it's not taking itself seriously.
Yeah, and then simultaneously in the same film, just like hit the brakes immediately, and we're going, oh, the little kid's giving me chocolate, and oh, he's so cute, and we're gonna save him, and oh, I'm sacrificing myself. I love you, my friend. That I know that I'm dying. This is a sad moment. And it's completely unironic. The soundtrack is just so fucking bullshitty, and just everything is so unearned. It's exhausting, and I hate it. Like, choose one. You're not fucking Parasite. You're not Bong Joon-ho. You're not able to balance these tones in a film. You haven't earned either of these tones. You did nothing. You did absolutely fucking nothing. You're dangling keys.
Yes, you're dangling goo.
Yeah.
Imagine Venom going over a set of keys and then that jingling in front of you for 2 hours. Then you got Venom: The Last Dance.
If he had a fuckable voice, then sure, but can't do it. It's the most unfuckable Venom.
what else even happens in the movie? I think we like covered the entire movie, to be honest. Like nothing of consequence happens in any of it. There's no surprises. You mentioned the heroic sacrifice cliche towards the end, which is like so forced and unearned. Venom goes on a motorbike at one point again, an ode to the first movie that everyone loved as well. There's
a lot of like very seriously toned exposition with these scientist characters that don't look like they're scientists.
Yeah.
They look like they belong in like a Neil Breen film.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of the movie has this kind of random focus or attention on completely inconsequential characters. It's just like, why are you even giving this character screen time? And then they'll like act as if there's some kind of payoff to them or there's some reason for it, but there just isn't. So it's just like trying to unpick this, like, okay, everyone's in this because it's like a huge paycheck, and like, be real with me right now. If Sony approached you and was like, can you direct Venom 4 for us?
Yes.
Like, would you take it?
Of course.
Like, yeah. Yeah, of course. Like, you're gonna do it. In fact, it would probably be quite fun. Like, there's like so low stakes. Like,
with the amount of
all the like planning and the goo shit. It's like
I was thinking this during the film. So we mentioned that they waste so much fucking money on nothing for no reason, right? Things that they spend a dollar amount and you do not see that reflected in the quality of the film. Theoretically, like, if somebody really wanted to, like, just have a well-shot scene. So, for some reason, this moment came to me, like, at one point, like, in Vegas. They're having a conversation, and it's just, like, bland, lazy, just factory A-angle, B-angle, close-ups of their face, and it's like, okay, that you can shoot it like this so that you can just take whichever one of the moments from each angle that you want and edit them together. And I guess nobody has to like do a good job acting or memorize their lines because you can just fix it in post, sort of thing. With the amount of money they spend on this shit, you could have had that entire scene be like a single take showing both characters, maybe like, you know, like a slow like dolly zoom or something. Like, you could shoot it well. Could you imagine, like, you could have the same bullshit ass movie, all the same terrible dialogue, but then there, you know, just give like one crumb to people who appreciate some sort of artistry and just be like, oh, it was actually kind of well shot. You know, that's what I was thinking. The amount of money they spend on this, you could do that. You could do that if you really wanted to. If you really cared about what you were making, you could have a well-shot Venom film. And the people who like this wouldn't even notice. You would just be giving something to people that care about that sort of thing. And you wouldn't be taking anything away from the people that enjoy what this movie already is. You would increase the amount of people who would enjoy it. Why not?
You kind of answered that question in your summary, though. So the people who like this wouldn't notice, so they just don't do it.
No, but you'd have more. You would get a little better critic review. You would get, you know, there might be a couple people who would be like, you know, this was actually well shot, and buy the Blu-ray.
I'd be curious to know like how many days they shot on this, like what, because it's so assembly line. It's workmanlike. Like I'm sure it's like fun to work on from like a production standpoint, as far as like the stakes being low. It's just like CG teams and sound stages and this really like flat, just set up the two cameras and whatever, just riff for a little bit. Okay, next scene. There's not a creative bone in the whole film's body. So yeah, I don't know like the real answer why they won't do that. Because I mean, we've seen countless films. This is $10 million or so, like over $100 million for this bullshit.
It's
120 million.
They don't give them to directors who would even think about doing such a thing.
That's what confused me about that second movie where it was like Andy Serkis doing it, where he's not a great director.
Exactly.
But like, I'm just trying to put myself in that headspace of being offered that job, and like, you don't want to even like try on a single scene.
Has he established
you don't have the
himself as
creative
someone
control?
who is capable of that? Like, at what point in Andy Serkis's career do we think that he can do that?
I remember he was a second unit director on, I can't remember if it was on some Lord of the Rings or Hobbit project. He did something.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, I remember like watching on the behind the scenes, him like at least conveying that he cared about that in some form, but it's like, yeah, where, why, who, yeah, it's just utterly workmanlike. And yeah, I'm repeating myself, but I just can't stand that it's so successful. 500 million it's at so far, and by the time the year's over, I'm sure it'll overtake that second movie. It's close as far as box office returns, which is crazy for a third in a trilogy as well. Like often there's like a fall off the longer they go, but
I mean, I don't even think it's still
powerful.
in theaters anymore, so I don't know about the box office, but it's definitely going to make money on digital and Blu-ray.
It's out here.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I looked earlier. It's still like playing.
That's funny.
Movie of the holidays.
It's funny that they do that now.
There's certain movies that are making money. I think they just keep doing shows, even if it's just 1 or 2 a day. They just stick around. Like Deadpool Wolverine was the same, where it was like 6 months later you could still go see it. It's
not to make money. It's to keep indie films out of the theaters.
yeah.
It's to destroy the competition, probably.
Yeah, that kind of is, because I've like, to see Anora, for example, I had to like travel to like another city to even get a fucking screening. But yeah, Hyper Schlock. Did you like I mentioned how many Venoms are in the movie. They love doing this thing where the Venom like screams at the camera. Is that like a focus tested thing where it's like audiences love when Venom screams into the camera? Was that like for trailer shots or something? Like, it
depends how detailed the mouth is. How much of that tongue can you see?
Lots of it. Yeah, it's starting to make sense to me now.
How much of the saliva do we see dripping from the detailed mouth of goopy boy Venom?
Yeah, how much of it is subconscious? How much of it is like just earnest love for these films? Like, is there someone sat there at the end of this when it's going to the emotional beats and they're like, you know what, Venom Last Dance, you did it, you rocked it. I don't know, I guess.
That's a thing that I find myself like consistently confused about, is like a lot of people who enjoy these types of films, they'll leave the theater and they'll talk about the parts where there were lots of Venoms fighting each other, maybe a joke, you know, Deadpool, people talked about the Backstreet Boys thing or whatever, you know, like those are the moments people talk about. And so when they include these bullshit, fake, pretend emotional checklist moments where it's like, oh, but we need to have this for between the second and third act, the characters got to do this so that we, you know, like you're copying and pasting a formula. But these things don't need to exist, because I'm not even sure, like, I'm not convinced that the people who enjoy these movies overall care about those scenes either. I think they just sort of, like, don't care about, like, I don't think anyone's having any kind of moments with those scenes. Is that for, like, the mom who got dragged to the theater so she can have, like, one?
Yeah, that's what I find so confusing, though, because it's like, if those scenes are for nobody, then why not just be an irreverent comedy? That's clearly what you want to be.
Yeah.
So why are you even doing that?
I'm unconvinced that people who love these movies like those scenes at all. I think they just don't care.
Wow. It must be. It must come from a place of apathy. It must do. And it's like they just put up with it because that happens in the end of every movie you've seen. Every Hollywood movie has that low point or the falling out or the emotional sacrifice. So you're just fine with it, I guess. It's like the third movie you've seen in the cinema this year. So
you make a movie.
I'm just happy to see Venom on the big screen. I just noticed something funny on IMDb, though, looking at the categories that this movie is filed under. Alien invasion, kaiju, road trip, superhero action adventures, sci-fi thriller. Fuck off. Kaiju?
The comedy is not even on there. What the heck?
Wait, you're right. Yeah, I didn't say comedy, did I?
No, it's not there.
Wow. Damn. That's so dishonest. Like, even if you watch the trailer, like, you can pretty much intuit that it's trying to be funny. Because that first one was a bit more like, no, we're taking Venom a little bit seriously, at least in the marketing. That's why it was such a surprise with that whole, like, loser line. I'm kind of a loser. Like, this is so dumb and annoying. But then they fully leaned into it for that second one, and it's just more of the same for this. So it's just, yeah. I'm just baffled by this whole trilogy, who it's for, the Scooby-Doo voice. Like, I don't know what's going on. Because you said, like, you're often confused with these types of movies. I am too, except for, like, I didn't love Deadpool Wolverine, but I at least, like, understand why general audiences like that. I'm not, like, hyper confused by it like I am with this. Like, that's kind of what I found entertaining about it, where it's like, you motherfuckers putting together this shit, not trying at all, and then they're like audacious after credits tease to the next one, and like Venom going on like a cockroach and this kind of stuff. It's like,
no one's ever really
that is this film in a nutshell. Yeah, Venom going onto a cockroach is a visual metaphor for this entire trilogy, to be honest. It's a cockroach won't die, won't go away, but somehow will survive a nuclear blast.
Yeah.
Series of movies.
It was very slow. It felt like an hour had passed at only 23 minutes. And it was simultaneously overstimulating and boring at the same time. 2 out of 10.
I didn't find it that level of boring, to be honest. I was overstimulated, that's a good way of putting it. It is definitely overstimulating and like quite just key jangly awful. But it kind of flew by, similar to Morbius. Actually, no, Morbius was the boring one. Madam Web was pretty funny. Yeah, Morbius was a lot more boring than this to me. Just an awful trilogy, awful film. Terrible capper to this whole thing. They didn't try. I don't think a single shot they tried. Not even like one. This is like a 1 star for me. 1 star out of 5. So 2 out of 10, same as you. But still, the best Venom movie probably.
Yeah.
So I give it a like.
It's probably the best of the 3. It's a slightly higher 2 than the other 2 out of 10s I gave the other 2 movies.
That wildly high bar.
Yeah.
Man, so many random actors got paychecks for it. Like I've been watching Veep recently, and this actor Reed Scott is quite funny in it. And I'm just looking in the credits of Venom: The Last Dance, and he's in there. I don't even remember him in the movie, but he got paid for it.
Mm.
So that's the one thing, I guess. Like a bunch of actors got paid for it, and Kelly Marcel, the director, I'm sure also got a huge paycheck for doing this as her debut film. I wonder what she'll do next.
All right. There was a film recommendation, a Christmas movie. You know, Venom 3 was kind of a Christmas movie. There was a character named Christmas in it.
Was there?
There was a character named Christmas, wasn't there?
You could be right. Venom: The Last Dance, Christmas.
Oh, whatever. Maybe I'm crazy.
Sadie Christmas. No, you're
okay,
right.
Yeah,
you were right.
Okay,
no.
there was a character named Chris. So
the
we
scientist
watched 2...
of the Imperium program.
We accidentally watched 2 Christmas movies. And we're recording this episode before Christmas, but you'll hear it after Christmas. So sorry. Unless you're on the Patreon,
oops.
actually. Maybe you might hear it earlier. Tokyo Godfathers is a 2003 film. Some call it a tragicomedy. It's like a dark comedy for me. There's some tragedy in it, but
I would say that fits. Yeah, that fits.
Yeah. Directed by acclaimed anime guy Skadooshi Khan. And
God.
Skadoosh. And yeah, it's an interesting kind of this is one of those types of animes where it's almost so grounded that you could imagine it being live action, but I wouldn't say that it would be better if it was. They're still using animation to its advantages. especially with Satoshi Kon's style of, having like really large mouths on characters and then using that to create like really interesting and expressive faces and emotions. And
the expressions are amazing in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically there's 3 homeless characters in Tokyo, and they find a baby, a dumpster baby that got abandoned. Yeah. And it's a Christmas movie, so it's almost kind of like a, like fable type story where like, oh, is this baby good luck? Is there, whimsical kind of maybe supernatural things happening, some like coincidences, some luck, some fate. And I think it all works really well. And it's got a really interesting tone and a great energy. Yeah, I would recommend it. What do you think?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. My fear going into Christmas movies is like what level of saccharine they're going to be. And this one's kind of got an edge to it.
Yeah.
Which is fitting with those homeless characters. I was thinking about that with like some of the language they're using and some of the conversations they're having, especially towards the beginning. And just like the darkness, the tragedy we're kind of getting at with the tragicomedy label. But yeah, it manages to like ride that sentimentality in a way that did work for me, which a lot of Christmas movies just don't. And yeah, just the way they develop and characterize these main 3 characters and the way that information's trickled out, I found really satisfying and thoughtful. And obviously carried by that meticulous, starting with like the backgrounds and just it's called Tokyo Godfathers. It's set in Tokyo. Man, some of the stuff they do with the locations they're in, the structure of things. When I was reading about it afterwards, there was a detail I didn't even notice about the buildings, where there's a lot of hidden faces in the buildings and the backgrounds, which indicate like the emotions of the characters. I'd recommend, if you just search up Tokyo Godfathers, like hidden faces, there are like tweets of people who've compiled of some of the shots, and it's quite subtle and subconscious, but it's like, oh, that's really cool. And what you're saying, like utilizing animation, and yeah, not just the backgrounds and everything, every visual element, the character designs. I love the 3 distinct designs and characters for the lead 3 that you get there with I don't know, they cover a range of like personalities. You got the teenage girl, kind of older, past his prime dude, and the trans character, who I was quite shocked by the depiction of that for a 2003 film, to have like a real fleshed out character who's trans, and it's not like the butt of a joke.
I think to
like Ace Ventura style or something.
I think to some extent, like the film, it kind of leaves it open to for the character to, depending on who's watching it, be the butt of a joke. But at the same time, I do agree. Like it is like a very empathetically written character. It's not like a useless, like purely just a stereotype punching bag or anything.
Yeah, there are definitely gags at the character's expense, but there are for most characters, and it does still feel like a fleshed out character. It's not the only reason they're in the movie.
Yeah.
They are given a backstory. They're given relationships with people. They delve into them as a person, and it feels like it has more of a purpose than just a throwaway gag or whatever. Like so many, especially older movies do, where it's, Ace Ventura is the ultimate example where I think the entire concept was introduced to me in that fucking film, which is obviously a negative. But yeah, I really liked that detail of it. And I guess I went on a bit of a Koji binge. Kon binge. I watched 3 of his films like in a row because I just felt like it.
Like this week?
Tokyo Godfathers, Paprika. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I'd seen Paprika before, but I somehow hadn't seen Perfect Blue. So I caught up on those. And I was finding, outside of Perfect Blue, which I think is just like the tightest, best movie of his I've seen so far, there are some structural things in the other 2 movies I saw that were kind of like putting me off ever so slightly. It's more egregious in Paprika for me, but in Tokyo Godfathers, I don't know, there's something about the you mentioned that sprinkling of like fate and coincidence for things for like the plot to work, and some of them, I don't know, I'm torn because like it's like 50-50 for me, where some of the coincidences I found to actually work and not be distracting, but others did.
Oh, like what?
Like the earlier one with the guy who's like nearly crashed by his car, and like the convenient link he has to everything going on there, and but then it's balanced against the nurse reveal and this ongoing thing with these convenient kind of meetings of like, oh, it's my lost child or my lost mother or this kind of thing. I don't know, I guess we're in spoilers, the mother, or who you think is the mother at the time, like about to commit suicide on that bridge, and just like the timing of all of it. It's yeah. It did come up in my mind. It wasn't distracting as much as, I don't know. I was thinking about it. Where I was like, I don't know. It was charming enough to like win me over, but I don't know. In a lesser movie, I think that would bug me more, or like bring it down more.
No,
that was one of my bigger issues with it.
No, I wasn't fazed by it at all. Just, I think the context of this being like a fable type, whimsical, like it's kind of setting itself up pretty clearly, I think, in terms of this being a movie that is almost like a folklore type thing. They find a baby on Christmas, right? And so it's like almost like a religious kind of spiritual fable thing. Almost like three wise men going to...
Yeah. It's like the capo with the, I guess, the second suicide attempt from that character towards the end, where the banner kind of gets the gust of air and it carries them safely down. That like worked for me. So it was almost like a coin flip with like how it was coming together, how it was communicated to me. I don't know. That was my only real sort of issue with the way the film was moving, because I was enjoying it at the beginning when the three were together, and then it kind of splinters off in the second act where they were each having their own little dramas going on at the same time, and they kind of reconverge towards the end. And there was a spot towards the middle where I was kind of feeling like it kind of tricks you, where the mystery of who and why they have this baby and why it was left. You think you get an answer, but it's not a real answer. And then you get that awesome chase sequence as a result of it. So maybe I need to rewatch and it might flow better, but that was definitely kind of on my mind.
Yeah.
Watching it.
I think this is a movie that I think I'll enjoy more on a rewatch as well. Although I did enjoy this very much on my first watch for sure. I've been kind of like experiencing random like health issues over the past like few months, where I get like a lot of brain fog, and my just my energy is like kind of depleted. So that was happening during this film experience, and so it's like I'm excited to watch it again, like in a better state of mind. But I still feel like I got a lot out of it, and especially as the film is like building up on itself, and the energy of like the chase scenes and just kind of how like ridiculous things get. I was very much into that. And I feel like the tone and emotions were very well presented as well.
Man, brain fog does really suck. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the action scene was great. Because there was a moment early on where in my notes I was like, kind of what you brought up with the whole almost seeing this as like a live action movie. I'm like, yeah, they're not really doing set pieces or action per se. It's mostly like dialogue, and it's a lot about like the humor of it and the character interactions, as opposed to like action or that kind of thing.
I feel like it's a character movie more than anything.
Yeah, but then it starts kind of sprinkling out this stuff you'd more expect from the director of Paprika or whatever, where you get someone getting shot in like a big wedding, and the like silver platter falling down, and the way that's all put together, and the whole chase scene towards the end where he's on the bicycle and you think he gets crushed, and the way that moves and the way that looks, and the little kind of hero moment that he gets when they've been like shit talking the whole time about how like, hey, we're like three homeless people, we're not like action movie stars, so how are we supposed to do this? Like, let's go to the police. So getting that little payoff towards the end is fun. Yeah, I just dug these characters. I like the dude who said he was a professional cyclist, and his whole like unreliable narrator angle where he basically just tells this lie about his backstory and upsets the other characters at a certain point when the truth is revealed. And just, yeah, there's these overlapping familial kind of links all three characters have. They've each got some, I guess, trauma or some pain going to that tragedy in the tragicomedy. Like, and it's pretty serious. It's not, the edges aren't sanded off. Like, you see blood, you see, yeah, people getting shot, people dying and getting beaten in the streets by like youths, and let's take it so seriously as far as that stuff's concerned. Yeah, and that was what there were one or two times where I felt like the music was the main thing keeping the levity up, because like they were having like conversations that were actually really serious or talking about the subject matter that's like, well, man, this is like if you had like the Joker 2019 score over this, like some of this, it might land a little bit different. But the kind of whimsical nature of it stops it from, it balances the tone. We're just saying how Venom did an atrocious job of like anything like that, but this does a good job of balancing, being serious when it needs to be. It can have this kind of absurdist, over the top comedy, but also have suicide attempts and serious stuff like that.
And still with the comedic nature, the seriousness of those moments is not at all detracted by the comedy in the film.
No.
Because it cares about its characters. It's not a shitpost, right? Like in the writing process, at some point, they thought, okay, why are these characters homeless, right? What are their goals? What are their fears? What drives them, right? And, you know, maybe one of the 80 writers in Venom thought that at one point, and you saw a little, I was actually a loser in my planet. Retro. Right?
Yeah, that was kind of the hook to me at first. Like the obvious one is the baby and trying to figure out who the parents are. But I was kind of more interested by these three characters and why they were how they are and how they knew each other, and this little snapshot of their lives that you get to see. It's surprisingly fleshed out for this little 90-minute Christmas movie. Yeah, I really dig these characters.
Yeah. And like there's something really connecting in terms of just viewing their struggle and knowing how much they've already gone through and seeing them continue and seeing them still be motivated to continue going. You know, they haven't like completely given up, sort of thing. They're just like in a really bad spot. Yeah.
And it is obviously offset with that comedy we mentioned. I think my favorite gag was the when you think the guy's going to die in the street after being beaten up, and then the angel's there. And he's like, oh, is this getting fantasy? It's like, do you want an ambulance or my magic? And he's just like, I want the ambulance. Yeah, that stuff worked for me. And just playing with the idea of like with that joke in particular, or the fancy elements, or the little bits of luck, or what's real, what's not. Satoshi Kon is good at that, like the blending of, oh, is this real in this moment right now, or is this a dream? There's like a good dream sequence in there. Yeah, just mixing things up, making the narrative kind of unpredictable in that way. Yeah, and just little creative touches like that. That little story based on like a fable or something. I swear I've heard it before, with the like troll that works together with that guy in the town to big themselves up, and just little stuff like that. It's just packed full of character. When I finished it, and I was like, that was good. I like that. And then I was reading about it and saw $2.4 million for this.
It's nothing.
And I was like, what the? How'd you do that? That is genuinely incredible to me. Like, you can make 100 of these for one red one. Think about that. 100 Godfathers. Yeah, I thought that was incredible. And just looking up the whatever budgetary secrets he had going on, how he managed to do that. Hopefully it wasn't like abusing animators to get there, but I think that's kind of just part of the course of being an animator at a certain point. Like, it's not known how well you're treated, but yeah, there's no like skimping as far as the the visuals are concerned, it doesn't look like there's anything cost-cutting.
No.
It's constant new backgrounds, constant new locations, all these different characters coming in.
Yeah.
This heavy frame animation and these distinct poses. It's like, man, it doesn't feel like they're reusing a lot of this, and it's, yeah, meticulously put together.
Yeah. I feel like that really helped, like, the tone and the pacing, just the overall feel of the film is, like, the amount of different set pieces there are, and, you know, similar vibes of set pieces, similar types of locations, I guess, but it was varied enough that it's like, oh, we're still moving somewhere. We're continuing on with the journey, and it, you know, if it's going to be like an adventure film, which it is, then it's good to have things moving along and not just stay stagnant in one place for too long.
Yeah, it doesn't really return to locations.
Yeah.
It's pretty much constantly on the move. It's more of like an A to B type thing, where they're trying to get somewhere. And one thing I appreciated towards the end was like, there's a crying, screaming baby for most of this movie. And the way they mixed the crying was in just a subtle enough way to not become irritating. Like, that could really be like a frustrating thing, like a screaming baby for like the whole runtime. But yeah, it stays restrained. I don't know, just every technical element's very, very good here. I don't know if he's ever made a bad film.
Probably not.
Unfortunately, passed away.
Yeah.
There's only one I haven't seen in that TV show I've yet to watch. But
Paranoia Agent.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate he passed away so young. He's like 40 something. Pancreatic cancer, I believe.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Yeah, because I'm sure he had plenty more stories in him.
Probably, yeah. Japanese directors usually work into their 90s or whatever.
Yeah, until they literally can't anymore.
Yeah.
Were there any kind of 2003 time capsule elements you noticed about the movie? Anything that seemed, well, I'm not sure if we'd really do that now, or maybe some of the language, maybe...
there was a payphone.
It's kind of a... There was a payphone. It's kind of a weird interaction towards the beginning with the dude and the teenage girl, where he's like grabs her boob or something, and it's like making fun of how small they are. That was quite weird.
I don't know. It's Japan.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me in a current year Japanese film.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
The like lottery ticket towards the end as well. That I guess that's what you're saying with the fairy tale, just conveniences lining up thing. Yeah, I like that old character. It's like a future vision of what was in line for this character we're talking about. The cyclist fella. And the location that the scenes with him were set in were cool, with the kind of tent he was in had all these windmills like plastered outside of it, and it had some good visuals and a little visual gag there when you think he's died, and the windmill stops spinning and then it returns and he's actually not dead quite yet, and it's like a whole gag around it. Yeah, I was laughing out loud a fair few times in a way I wasn't expecting, especially with this string of movies I watched from Satoshi. Like this one's quite tonally different. Like they're not really comedies.
Oh yeah, this is his most lighthearted, like comedic film, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, and I liked it for that. I like seeing that range. I like seeing the sentimental kind of angle working out there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that this happens quite a lot with talented dramatic directors, is they're just able to do comedy as well. They'll just do, like, just a director who's made like either scary or depressing things really well. They'll just do a comedy, and it's like, oh wow, you're just talented and you understand what works about characters and, you know, emotions. Because those things can exist in comedy films. Like there's a pervasive idea within the film industry, you know, I guess not due to any misconception, but because things like Venom are successful, where you don't have to care about characters to make a comedy. You just do dumb meme joke and then make a disposable fucking film where nothing matters. And then you have moments that pretend to care about characters because that's on the checklist, but nothing's earned. And those do well, right? Like the overwhelming majority of comedies that exist, they're fucking terrible. They're so shit. Yeah. And so like once in a fucking blue
they're a dying
moon,
breed now too. They're a dying breed as far as like, I don't know, that type of, especially American comedy from the past, like, you don't really see like Superbads or movies quite like that now. I seem to know what it was.
Yeah, now they're just like Marvel
kind of free guy stuff where it has to, yeah, exactly. It has to overlap with like big epic spectacle. Red One is another one, you know, this kind of thing.
Isn't it so funny how epic I am?
Is like the genre of comedy that we're in right now.
Isn't it so funny that wholesome big chungus?
Yeah. No, I've had that long-standing comedy problem for a while, where it's like, yeah, so often used as a crutch to not care about the filmmaking.
Exactly.
It's like my favorite comedies are like Grand Budapest Hotel or like
Hot Fuzz,
Big Lebowski, where it's like Hot Fuzz. These like films. They are films. Yeah. They're like shots you can point to. They're music choices and performances and clever dialogue and like everything you want to see from a good movie. Just because it's funny, it shouldn't just be a crutch to be lazy with it.
Yeah, and you can still have things be like unserious throughout much of the film, but you can still have enough to care about at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive, right? Like Hot Fuzz is very like shitposty.
Yeah,
you know, but it's still well written.
Yeah, definitely. It's self-aware and knows what it is, and yeah, it still obeys like rules of film and reincorporation and all of it. Yeah, what would the Hollywood American remake of Tokyo Godfathers look like? Like New York Godfathers, and it's like The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and then they look at the camera and like be like, CG "I'm not having a good day," or something like, I don't know.
Yeah,
don't like remakes. And the wink. Yeah, it's literally just once in a fucking blue moon where we see a comedy where they care about the characters and there's something with some sort of emotional weight or resonance or anything to care about within it. Like, come on, you can have both. You can have a funny movie and care about something in it too. It's not impossible. Yeah, you just have to care about
everything.
The movie.
Everything Everywhere did that recently.
Exactly.
It's like, that's got like absurd, ridiculous humor in it. But it manages to balance the tone.
And it even has the Marvel brand of humor within it that people like in this generation.
It's a multiverse thing. Yeah. I guess people just aren't looking for it. Yeah, they just want it in the superhero packaging. Like I watched Red Rocket like a few weeks ago.
Great movie.
I'd say that's a pretty good comedy.
Yeah.
Lots of comedic elements to it, but it's still an effective drama and a well-made movie as well.
Did that have the same song as the Deadpool Wolverine? Or was it a different one? Was it a different boy band song that was in it?
In Red Rocket, I can't remember. I'm not really the biggest boy band.
So Backstreet Boys' Bye 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 was in Deadpool Wolverine. And I'm trying to remember what was in Red Rocket. Was it NSYNC?
Oh, you're right.
Backstreet Boys?
I think it might have been NSYNC because I'm getting confused with the opening of Anora as well, which also has a...
Oh my God. Hold on. I typed Red Rocket song and that got me nowhere. So I have to type like Sean
I searched
Baker.
Red Rocket music and that's a whole like website.
Oh, it is NSYNC. Oh, sorry.
Workshop.
Yeah, NSYNC was both of them. Backstreet Boys was not. It is the same song. Bye Bye Bye, right?
Oh, okay.
That was in Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, it was that.
Okay. Backstreet Boys was in neither. I'm going to have to fact check this with Deadpool Wolverine. Boy band
I think so.
song.
I don't remember it very well, but it's like...
Let's see. It is Bye Bye. Oh, okay. So fucking Deadpool Wolverine ripped off Red Rocket. It's the same song.
But like 3 people saw Red Rocket, so...
Shockingly, actually. I thought that movie would have... Because Sean Baker had a lot more attention on his previous 2 films. So I thought this would have done better.
Far. Everyone was talking about the Flow Rider project. Everyone was talking about other ones. But yeah, I don't know why it went under the radar, but he's got it back again with Anora. He'll be good.
Oh, yeah. He's made another hit. Another Oscar buzz movie for sure.
Yeah.
I guess the Oscars were scared of this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tokyo Godfathers, it's just... I'll definitely watch this again. I think I'll buy the Blu-ray. I'd like to see a 4K at some point. It's just... The characters are the focal point, you know? They're the anchor of the film. And then everything else that happens
it's definitely character-led.
is just around that being the central focal point.
You got the Akira reference. Did you catch that one?
Oh, the bike part?
Yeah.
That was great. That was one of my favorite
You
moments.
have to do it.
And not because it was an Akira reference. I just thought it was a really, really well animated, great, funny moment. You know, the skid and fall and just like the energy of that scene and how it transitions into him being completely out of breath and doing pantomime, trying to explain things for like a minute.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's like a
gag
that you could imagine appearing in like a comedy where they don't care about the characters. But because they cared about the characters in this film, and because there's such a consequence to the events and the story, it just makes those scenes better. It makes it feel like an actual moment of levity, like a break away from the emotions, right? I feel like comedic moments when they can be like a nice comedic relief, right? Whereas in all these other shitty movies we're talking about, there is no comedic relief because there's nothing to relieve us from. There's no real emotions happening, right? The comedy's not funny.
Well, it's like a flat line of the same emotion the whole time instead of like going up and down. It's like, oh, this is like a bit of drama. Now let's do a little joke to balance this out, and so on, repeat and play with it. That's what makes the emotional journey fun and interesting. With like a journey across the city type thing they're doing here. It did a nice like touch with how expressive it is stuff like when they're on the train and everyone's covering their noses and complaining about their smell, and when they're cold and the way they're moving, and the teenage girl character, they do like a certain quirk with the way they animate her face whenever she's like sniffling, which is like so expressive, and like, man, you just did not have to put in that level of effort, but man, I'm glad you did, because that is so expressive. And these like poses they're pulling of when people are just like talking on the phone or something and they're at like a really awkward angle to draw and they're just like flexing this technical ability, which I can't get enough of that kind of stuff. And the same can be said for all of his films that I've seen as far as that is concerned, with the animation and using it to its fullest. What do you remember about the other films of his you've seen?
Oh boy, I think so. Okay,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. And I haven't seen all of them. I think I've just seen Paprika and Perfect Blue, and I don't know. I guess if I rewatch them, I'll find out if maybe I was just like too young for it to really connect fully with me. And I have them like rated as a 7 on IMDb, but I have them both in my watch list as like, okay, I don't really remember that much about them. But I don't know, like as far as from memory or just what I feel my general experience is with his films, I feel like this is my favorite one of his, Tokyo Godfathers. And maybe that'll change with a rewatch of the others, but like I feel like tonally what it's going for and energy wise and like everything that I got out of the film, like I want to return to this sooner than I want to return to those other films. I feel like I just get so much more out of the characters and their journey, and just like wanting to revisit the story and wanting to just like be back in the world and, you know, notice more on my second watch and learn a bit more about the characters. And, you know, it's all they've created a story and characters where, you know, I feel like attached to it in some way and I want to like go back. It's like they're friends or something, you know, it's like, you know, we're talking about media.
Yeah. It oozes charm.
Relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a bit more lighthearted as well than at least those other two movies you mentioned. But that's kind of why I like Perfect Blue so much. It's the whole like dark voyeuristic thing it's going for. It really spoke to me. Whereas Paprika was loved the first couple acts, but I just felt like it just didn't quite land the plane with kind of how big and broad it gets towards the end. And it is, I don't know if I'm just dumb or what, but it's genuinely quite hard to follow at certain points, Paprika.
I remember that much about it.
But you feel that in Perfect Blue, but in a way that feels more like, I don't know, I'm still there with what's going on instead of like, what is like actually happening? Like in a way where I can like connect with something, like on an emotional level, or like a character to like root this. Whereas, I felt like Paprika struggled with that like wrapping itself up towards the end with how like wacky and crazy it gets, despite how much I love like the kinetic movement of the way that film is animated. Yeah, Godfathers is way more like consistent to me as far as and approachable for sure, compared to those.
Yeah, and I feel like in terms of things in this genre, let's say, or things with like similar ideas of like fable coincidence movies, Christmas, fairly lighthearted but like serious sort of thing. Like there's a lot of those that exist and they just don't do much for me. So I'm just like pretty ecstatic to be able to connect with something that fits that description. You know? Like there's a lot of movies that like try to go for this kind of tone that just don't pull it off for me.
Or it's like, too kid-friendly or too saccharine or doesn't take any risks at all.
Too like paint by
that was my
numbers
fear too.
Or whatever. Yeah, people pretending like The Holdovers is a masterpiece. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, this is genuinely unpredictable. Yeah, I was fine with The Holdovers. It was entertaining, I guess.
Fine.
I haven't really thought about it since. But,
exactly.
I don't know. I don't really romanticize Christmas in the same way a lot of people seem to like watching Elf every year.
Oh shit, yeah.
The terrifying Polar Express and shit like that. Like I'll put on like Nightmare Before Christmas. That's my Christmas movie.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I don't know if I want to watch it every year, but
so it's nice to get like another animated movie. Yeah, I just googled like best Christmas movies. Dear Santa with Jack Black.
Oh, God.
Love Actually, The Grinch.
Oh.
The Illumination one.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just not much. Spirited with Ryan Reynolds.
Huh?
A lot of this just is not for me.
No Die Hard on the list?
Yeah, it's not coming up for some reason. Die Hard would be the obvious one there.
I like Brazil. Brazil's a Christmas movie.
Does Brazil count as a Christmas movie?
Yes, it does.
I'm trying to remember. What's the...
There's a scene where it's
What's
Christmas,
the
and there's like a guy
movie?
breaks through the fucking roof. There's like a Christmas tree and... So it's not like it's
Those
not
are
like,
my kind of Christmas movies where it's like coincidentally a Christmas movie.
Exactly.
Klaus was decent. I remember liking that as far as like 2D animation. Gremlins is all right. I think I've just after the whole, there was like a trend. I feel like in the it was after Love Actually, I think, where like New Year's Day gets a movie and all these random holidays where I'm like, it's just not really what I'm looking for personally, but. Yeah, Tokyo Godfathers completely avoids that. Because I think what we're saying is character-led. It's not, I don't know, it's just not playing in that same ballpark. And it is kind of edgy and rough.
Yeah. I could watch this like as a tradition, maybe. We'll see if I get sick of it someday. But I'm not planning on it. But like, you know, if somebody wanted to and I was in the room, like I'd be like, oh yeah. Fucking it's a Christmas movie. Let's do it. Or if they were recommending putting on Elf, I would say, can we not? And just watch Tokyo Godfathers instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. There's one thing that's just popped into my head that, as far as like the detail and the animation and certain scenes that jump out. When who you think is the father of the child is kind of confronted and he's like hiding under the sheets and whatnot. The way they decided to animate that character,
Asmongold.
When they barge into Asmongold's live stream, the way they animated that scene, it's like so loose and just really emphasized the fear of that character in the moment in a way that was like beautiful. That was so well done. And there are plenty of times that happens, but that's just one that really stands out in my head where it's like, oh yes, like using the animation. I love when they just get loose with it and just like. It's just enhancing an emotion right now with utilizing the medium. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10 for now. And I'll see it again. Wonder how much expensive the Blu-ray is. We'll find out.
Yeah, I'd happily see this again. I have my nitpicks with it here and there. This was like a strong 7 for me, close to an 8 and a 6. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I've enjoyed my Con trilogy of random tones and dreams and Tokyo, and yeah, that was a good rec.
You're welcome.
Ready for a question or two?
Uh-huh.
Let's do some questions then. from the Sardonicast community, head over to the suggestion thread over on the subreddit to leave questions for the future episodes, just like BBD41116 did. This is mainly to Adam, but I'd also love to know Alex's thoughts as well. Have you ever considered doing worst of the year lists alongside your best of the year lists? I know Alex did a few worst of the year lists, so would you consider bringing it back? I have a feeling I know your answer.
But what would Scott Derrickson think?
What's that a reference to?
Scott Derrickson is the director of a few different things that I never really connected with. And every single year, oh yeah, The Black Phone, Sinister.
Oh, Sinister.
Doctor Strange. Every single year, like clockwork, he will post on Twitter, and I guess now Blue Sky also, I think, is where I saw this year's one, where he gets really mad at the existence of worst of the year lists. He's like, fuck your worst of the year list. I'll say it every year. You're a bad person. I'm like, okay.
Why though?
I don't know. Like, it seems really self-conscious. I guess he appears on them. Like, I don't know. It's a very odd thing to say every year. Like, who cares?
But like,
let people express themselves.
Yeah, I don't know why that matters. It's like, it does get to a point where it's like, there are groups of people, especially online, that do fall into that toxic positivity thing. Some might say we lean the other way, but it's like, both have their cons, you know? Who's actually hurting? Like, we're talking about movies here.
Yeah. And like,
especially when it's like, I don't know, these big, like, Red One and Venom and shit. Like, who's that hurting? Like,
people worked on it. Therefore, it's you can't say that it didn't connect with you. Like, what? I don't know what the argument is.
Yeah, it's a weird argument. Like, people like worked on my McDonald's and like the fries were cold.
People worked on Project 2025. people worked on the Holocaust. I don't know. There's a lot of effort that went into, like, you know, the trains had to run on time, Scott Derrickson. There's a lot of, I should stop. but you got my point. Yeah, I'm, so one of there's many reasons why my 2016 list is taking so long and why it's the longest out of every list I've ever made. One of them is because I'm trying to include some notable bad movies. So I don't know if I would call it worst of the year list, because I'm not necessarily going out of my way to see literally the worst movies I possibly could within a year. Because if I was, I would be seeing an impossible amount of movies to ever feasibly watch in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But there are some that, like, you know, occasionally things will wind up on my watch list because someone will post in the subreddit being like, Adam, this movie's so bad, it's so funny, you should watch it because it's so bad. And then that'll show up in my watch list. And then now that I'm, you know, I've been doing my 2016 stuff, I watch everything that's in my watch list from that year. So that includes bad movies. And now for this upcoming list that I've been working on for, I know, fucking forever, here and there. Now on this one, I'm planning on making a notable, like, section of notable bad movies that were like fun and entertaining, or just so egregiously bad that I felt passionate enough to like talk about. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Scott Derrickson?
No. In fact, yeah, in fact, I'd say it's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to. It's just my output is so ridiculously slow nowadays. I don't know. Man. Sometimes I'd like wonder how I did it sometimes. Like,
same.
Like early 20s, I don't know, like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, how did I do that? Especially now, because it's like, I think we're both in the same position where we did like everything. Where it's quite standard to like outsource a lot of a YouTube channel now. Whereas like, it's early 2010s. It's just like a machine.
I was not injured when I was.
I think post 2020, just something snapped in me, and it's like, fuck. Yeah, my brain is injured. So yeah, I just can't do it at the same pace, even remotely. But yeah, I would like to. And there's actually another question, if I can find it quickly, that ties into this. Should have put them next to each other, dumbass. Oh yeah.
My God. Sorry.
Yeah, this one from Rocket Salesman.
Before we, sorry, don't start this question yet. I found I found Scott Derrickson's post on Blue Sky. It's his most recent one, because I was trying to find like his original tweets
from this year
to see if he like elaborated on it or see what people were saying. But I guess his Twitter account doesn't exist anymore and nobody archived it. You can see like I forget what it's called, when you Google search something, and even though the link is dead, it still has like a ghost of part of the thing. So you can read part of it. He says, negative film criticism and bad reviews are important. A bad movie deserves a bad review, full stop. Worst films lists are not that. They are, and then ... and I can't I can't read the rest of it because it doesn't exist on Twitter anymore. But I found his Blue Sky one. And some of the replies are kind of funny. So I'm just going to read one of these replies. Somebody responded to him. Both Joker 2 and Megalopolis were unjustly included on nearly every major critic's worst movie lists, and they're near masterpieces. Okay. So like all you're saying is you disagree. Like, who cares if you disagree?
Yeah. Yeah, why is that an issue?
Yeah, and
then like both those films do deserve to be on a list like that, in my opinion. So
here's a good response, a very sensible response. I like bad movies, so if Scott doesn't want them, send them my way. So it's like, yeah, wait, what if you want to see the worst movies in a year? A lot of people love bad movies, right? What if I'm looking for the new Neil Breen, right?
Yeah.
People enjoy this shit.
It sounds like he's got more of an issue with like SEO farming list sites than like anything else.
Yeah, but he's talking about like critics putting up a worst of the year lit. Like there's something about the list format that bugs him, and I'm trying to understand what about it, because especially if he's saying negative reviews are important.
He's fine with negative reviews,
and those are good.
What if each one of the list has a negative review attached to it?
Form. You cannot categorize your negative reviews. Like, what do you mean?
Like it's just the list that's the issue. Them being in it.
That's what it seems like he's saying. And what? I don't understand. I would like him to elaborate more on Blue Sky, because his Twitter doesn't exist anymore, so I can't see if he did there. But I'm so confused. I just what's your point?
Maybe I was thinking, I had a random shower thought today along these kind of lines, where it's like, would I prefer it if some of these directors just didn't talk? Like I was thinking about that in terms of, and not even that Tarantino's done like embarrassing interviews or ruined anything, but I was just thinking about that, like we have such access now, and you can hear like countless hours of them talking and being themselves. Some of the mysteries like dissipated. So I'm like, can we just like chill a little bit with some of this? Look at that, every single opinion Tarantino has on a movie that he says on like a podcast gets like 1 million articles written about it, and it's like spread everywhere. I don't know. It's just like information overload.
Yeah. Well, we can move on, I guess. Sorry about that. I got stun locked for a second.
I had a tangential kind of continuation of what we're just saying from a Rocket Salesman. Question for both of you. Do you have any work that you were initially excited about but will never see the light of day for one reason or another? This could be a review, a song, anything that you've put at least some work into for your channel but later decided to put on hold or stop altogether. Oh my god, I've got so many like unfinished partial videos. I need to like ride this wave, this like momentum to get things done. Like what's one I can pluck? I did like a Mario movie review. Just didn't upload it for some reason. Got loads of stuff like that. I don't know. But I got other. I just
you can save. How about you save that review for when you have to say that you're addicted to Sandy Cheeks cock for at the beginning. Then way it's not like an important one.
That's a good idea actually.
Yeah, you can hang on.
And also, you sent me a video of like on a Jar episode, like mentioning the Sandy.
Yeah, because it's
how did you even find that?
Well, because I was on your subreddit and somebody posted saying, what was the episode of Jar where they talked about Sandy Cheeks cock for? And they were like, I swear this happened. And then the top post was, they talked about it on Sardonicast recently. But then further down the thread, someone, one of your Jarlings, timestamped like that episode. And I clicked on it. And it's like, oh, somebody made a Sandy Cheeks cockvore reference in one of your question reading things. And you didn't know what it was, but you read it anyway. So you had no idea.
No, because like speaking of bombardment of information, like the strings of words over the years that I've like just read out and seen, like I'm so I'm so like done with that. Like I just don't put two and two together at a certain point. So that was a nice little sprinkling of foreshadowing, I suppose, for the Sandy Cheeks cockball. I just don't know what anyone's talking about.
Yeah. I guess to answer the question, yeah, there's a chunk of things that like I'm figuring out. I would have loved to have done like Walking Dead season 3 as like a YMS full video, but I just like I can't. There's no story with it in the same way that there was like season 1 and 2. Like that. Right. Usually when I make those bigger reviews, like there's like a greater narrative that I'm trying to express. And that, it wasn't just about like, oh, season 2 is bad. It's like, here's why. Like, here's what AMC did. Right. Whereas that doesn't really exist as much with season 3. It's just like, oh, the show's still bad. Who would have thought? So at some point I'd like to like, at the very least, just do like a watch along and like maybe try to continue through the show. I don't know if it'll be worth it. And then, yeah, there's like a handful of things that have been on the back burner for a while due to various reasons. One of them being tendonitis injury. And so I'm like, over the past, how many months? 5 months or whatever, I've been going through a lot of changes brought out by various tragedies that have just happened in my life that have caused me to be in a situation where I'm taking time to like reflect and try to fix things and figure out what I need to be doing. So there's like, I'm in the process of doing some kind of like overhaul in terms of how things get made on the channel and what I focus on. And how, I'm going to see how feasible it is to make like a YMS style video where maybe I'm not as, maybe I don't have to do like every single thing in the editing process for one of those. And maybe that can help those get out. And then I also, I would have to sacrifice, like I can't do as many like in theater quickie stuff, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I
something's got to give. Yeah.
Yeah. When my time is like 100% filled up, that I have to start taking things out to make other things happen again. Because like I hit my limit, and I just hit my limit plus health issues that, and then trying to make like actual lifestyle changes so that I'm not just, hurting myself in the future. So I'm in the process of that. It's not something I can do overnight. And I'm having conversations with editors and, trying to get these current videos that I'm working on out for December also. And so it's a process.
I'm such a like control freak. I don't even like know how to let go of like, especially the editing. I feel like for a lot of YouTubers, like they don't like the editing or don't value it, or like they just want to get that part done.
Or it's so standardized that it doesn't matter whether or not they do it.
Yeah, it's like just an assembly line thing where I don't know, so many good ideas and like things come up through that process that I just can't let go of it. I can't do it. I can't. I've like tried a couple times here and there. It's like an editor who I've used once or twice, but I don't know. It's a toxic personality trait of mine, probably. I would say, just that level of control and wanting, just wanting to micromanage everything. And
there is. I think there is like a compromise somewhere in there.
Oh, there definitely is. It's just I don't know how to find it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of doing it until you find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's working out the kinks.
Yeah, and lots of people, I don't know, they assume that, I think we both have this same problem where there's like too many projects and ideas that like finding the time to put them together in a way that you're happy with. It's just increasingly difficult the older we get. So yeah, I don't know what needs to change there. Something snapped in 2020 for me. Don't know what it was in particular, but
I mean,
I have so many freaking ideas and videos I want to make, but it's just so fucking time consuming. And
part of my problem is like the larger videos of mine, like the passion project, like full YMS review stuff, or like even I just talked about how my list video is the longest, most complicated one ever for no good reason. but I'm, you know, I started it this way. I'm going to fucking finish it that way. And maybe I won't do that for other years. The same thing just wound up happening over time with my large YMS project is like back when I was pumping shit out, like real, you know, much quicker, there was no such thing as like a Kimba or Lion King caliber of that. Like they've gotten insanely more time consuming and complicated. And then because of that, then it's like, okay, you know, the past several years of me like trying to live in Vancouver and Atlanta simultaneously and like not being in the same city for more than like a month and a half. And then, you know, also trying to, you know, once I started getting other editors on projects, then it's like, oh, now I have a responsibility to create enough content for them per month so that they have enough money to live, because now I'm responsible for other human beings. And so then I was just like, okay, at a certain point I was creating content for the sake of giving them things to work on. And then in terms of like the larger projects, it's like, okay, well, I can't just work on like a Lion King style project for like a couple hours here and then like a few days later, like 5 hours. Then like I have to be focused and like in it in a way where I'm not distracted by other things. And so just like over, you know, several years now, I've just been in this weird loop that wasn't intentional to put myself in, but just kind of like wound up happening. And then I didn't realize what was happening until I was already in it. And I didn't have enough time to actually reflect and address and find ways to fix that until Scott died. And then now, you know, I'm in a period of like change and reflection. I'm like, okay, well now I need to focus on these things and actually figure out how to fix these issues that have been happening for too long and have needed fixing for a long time. And then also address like just my, you know, relationship with work and, you know, time and health in a way where it's like actually sustainable. Because what I was doing before was not sustainable. Whether it was a time period where I was, you know, pumping out the YMS style content more frequently, or whether it was like the past couple of years where, you know, it's been a lot of other projects. Like either one of those, it was not sustainable. And so I'm now trying to figure out what I can do. And that in of itself is a process. So, you know, I'm working on it and I'll figure it out, but I'm focused.
No, I found that exact same unsustainability thing. I think that's kind of what snapped in 2020 was like just reaching that conclusion. You need some balance in your life. Like, and then, like, it's just all I would do like every day. It's just like edit pretty much, just make shit. There's just no balance at a certain point, and it does start to affect your health, and like you start getting back problems or wrist problems, and like this kind of stuff. So yeah, I've never been good at balance. I'm kind of like a switch on or off type person. That's what I kind of mean about that momentum and what you're saying about like you start getting into a project, and it's like, no, I've got to like commit to this. I've got to see this through to the end, but it has to. You got to like ride the wave.
Yeah.
Let's do this one from Dabsloth 710. Hey Sards, Merry Christmas / Happy Holidays. What are your thoughts on the Oscars being available to watch live on Hulu in 2025? Do you both think this is an obvious thing they should have done years ago? So has it not been on a single streaming service this entire time?
Correct.
I've never watched it live, so like, really?
I
like it was on a TV channel.
I am like one of the only people I know that has cable, and I use it once a year for the Oscars.
Wait, you had to have cable to watch it?
Legally, yeah. And I want like a
Wow.
guarantee. I'm not going to be doing my fucking live stream like trying to find some pirated stream that might not be synced and then gets taken down halfway, and then I have to find another one. Like, I need a guaranteed way to watch it, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to do the live stream thing, right? So, yeah, I kind of have to. I'm going to see. My assumption right now is that the availability for Hulu, I'm just going to assume that they're not going to do it for Canada. I'm just going to assume that.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to keep my cable for now. I'm going to use that for the next Oscars. But I might try and see if it's accessible through Hulu at just, you know, like, oh, can I access it? Like on the night, I might just like see if it's possible. But also remember, like, I don't know, the Netflix, when they were doing that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, everybody's like no one was able to watch it.
As far as the streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it just dropped out for everybody. So it's like, okay, that's not going to happen with my cable. So I'm just going to keep that, and we'll see how it goes in this test pilot year, and I'll see if it's a disaster for everyone but me. Yeah, that's my plan.
What does cable cost a year? I've like never had. I don't even have like a dish attached to my house or anything. So,
I think. Well, because I've got like the most basic one that I can, and it's packaged in with some like internet and stuff. So I think I'm paying like 30 or 40 a month for something I'm using once a year. It's like, you know, a tax write-off, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
damn. Yeah, I'm getting hounded by the TV license people at the moment.
oh.
Mm-hmm. Just a British problem.
Mm-hmm. I found those egg chips. They didn't ship to Canada, but next time I'm in Seattle, I'm gonna.
Oh,
I got some shipped.
Yeah, be curious to know what you think. It's certainly eggy.
They showed up. They showed up to his house, and he messaged me like, "What is this monstrosity that you've done?"
I don't know. You might like him. You genuinely might.
Yeah.
Find something good to dip them in.
Oh, you got to dip them.
Yeah, because there's such a strong flavor. It's like you put like a sauce on your egg, right? It tastes exactly like fried egg. So, you know, would you have a plain fried egg? Sure, you put a bit of like seasoning on there or a sauce, sriracha or something, a bit of brown sauce maybe.
If I do fried egg, it's like in rice or like a burger. I don't eat egg often.
I suppose, yeah, it's kind of cooked breakfast is quite a British thing, I guess.
I'm not a breakfasty kind of guy.
I don't tend to be either. I don't normally eat till like 3, 4 in the day. So yeah. But I'll have my egg crisps now and again. Or chips, sorry. Yeah. This one's interesting. Geared towards you from Darkstar Ant. Question for Adam. If you had the chance, would you let your music be used in a film? And if so, how would you imagine it over a score / how'd it go?
Yeah, why not? I don't care.
Would you have any, like, would you want to know full context? And where would you draw the line as far as like, Venom 4 is coming out and they're like, Adam, you know, this An Unkindness song would fit really well.
Why would I say no?
Dancing. I guess.
Fuck it. Who cares? You can't ruin what the song is to me, and like you can't like the song removed from that context still exists. So yeah, put it in Venom.
You hear that, Sony? Hit him up.
Thank you.
Coltrane16 has this to say. Yesterday I stumbled upon several Reddit threads full of people complaining about hearing the phrase, "It's a game changer," being used way too often in the world of marketing these days. It struck me as oddly fascinating because I admit that it's probably overused, but it doesn't really bother me that much. So it was interesting to see dozens of others online seething over it. However, I then realized I strongly disliked the phrase, now more than ever. Now more than ever after hearing it all over the place since the COVID pandemic began. Corporate brands saying shit like, we need to stick together now more than ever in their commercials and so forth. It was even used in Red One, for fuck's sake. Are there any similarly overused phrases that you can't stand?
I think in my review for The Visit, I did a compilation of will do for blank what Jaws did for the ocean.
Oh, the Jaws one, of course.
The Jaws one is a fun one for me. Because just movies that have like nothing to do with Jaws. They'll just be like, well, Jaws was the thing. Yeah, so I guess like, yeah, irritating ones are just usually comparisons because they'll put that on the cover and the comparisons are you're already setting unrealistic expectations. Like if you have to compare your movie to fucking Jaws, it's not going to be as good as Jaws. People do that with Citizen Kane, right? You're already setting insane expectations and then the comparison never makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it was in my
Those
Frozen
blacks,
review
it's
also.
black. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a common one. Yeah, I can't stand that either. In fact, most taglines kind of suck. Most just anything on these posters, you just after a while you get jaded enough and you just see like the trends they use, the quotes they're pulling. And then you go and look at like where they're pulling it from, and it's like, oh, it's like it's like IGN or something, or something that doesn't matter.
Show me the con logo and what it won, and then show me like 30 different 4-star reviews with no words, and I'll be like, oh, this is a well-received film, and that might make me want to watch it more. Otherwise, the words mean nothing.
About puns on the poster? No, not,
give me an example.
Not a punny guy.
I don't know. I'll have to remember one.
Like on the Meg, it said like, "Pleased to eat you."
Didn't say that.
I think so.
Sure, love it. Do more puns. Every movie poster should have a pun. That is my legislation.
The more serious the
proposing.
movie, the better too.
Yeah. Put one for like Schindler's List.
What about ones that are like, just when you thought it was blank to do blank, then this. I feel like I've seen that one a few times.
I think that verbatim would work for me. But
I mean, honestly, yeah, it would for me too. But
yeah, if you had a movie where like maybe like as a part of like one of the character traits or like the themes, it's like, you know, some sort of like lazy, unfinished idea, and then the poster looks like it was designed by one of the characters or something.
Yeah. Oh, I just searched up some of the most famous ones. Here's I guess a pun. There's something about Mary as love is in the hair.
Nice.
Ruby Sparks, she's out of his mind.
Oh.
I don't know. Oh, Scott Pilgrim's one is an epic of epic epicness. I don't remember that. That's
what?
very of its time, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm like looking at the poster right here.
The hottie and the naughty said on the poster, "That's hot," and then the other character says, "That's not."
Yeah.
Did anybody watch that?
Who's coming up with these? I want to see like the boardrooms of like people coming up with these fucking things.
I mean, yeah, marketing perverts.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. How about we wrap up on do one more here?
Yes.
Send on this one from Die With You. There's plenty of negative discourse around certain film YouTubers, not going to name names, but what are your guys' favourite film content creators / film podcasts besides yourselves? RLM is obviously a go-to one, although with movie content, I tend not to like watching it until it's something I've like watched and decided my own thoughts on first, so I'll just hold off for like ages if it's like a Red Letter Media I want to watch or a Double Toasted review or something that I'm excited for, and then binge watch a bunch of them once I've caught up on the films themselves, or if it's something I just know I'm never gonna bother watching or something.
I tend not to watch other film creators unless it's like a movie just came out that everyone's talking about it and it's polarizing, and I kind of then I'll go through everyone. I'll be like, oh, I wonder what Amanda thought of it. I wonder what Stuckman thought of this. I wonder what Karsten thought about it.
Yeah.
Then I'll be doing that. But otherwise, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really get much out of watching other people's film content because it's not like I don't know anybody else on the platform that has like the same taste as me. Like, you have very similar taste to me. I don't know how that happened. We have a podcast together. But like, I don't know, most people on the platform, it's not like I'm getting recommendations from them where I could be like, oh, because they enjoyed it, I will for sure. Like, that's, I don't know. I'm like difficult to please sometimes. So, yeah. And then I don't know, like I want to form my own opinions about things too. Just every once in a while I'll be curious, but I just there's no film related channel that I find myself like watching every upload.
Yeah, I don't really do that either. I tend to watch a lot more of my YouTube watch time is like these just absurdly long like video game reviews. I found this guy Noah Caldwell Gervais, I think his name is. He does really good, like, long, thoughtful reviews of games. And yeah, I feel like it's, I don't know. I mean, they are obscenely long. Some of them, like some of the ways I do watch these movie videos is like I just go on my homepage and just refresh a couple times, and I guess it just figured out that I like these absurdly long videos, and just chip away at them. And it doesn't even matter like who it's even made by necessarily. It's just like, oh, that's a interesting thesis or whatever. the dark secret behind Red One. Just bullshit like that. But yeah, as far as like actual film reviewers, the only one I'll kind of regularly watch is RLM, and even then I probably haven't seen one of their videos in 6 months or so. It's not really how I engage with the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just like, I consume a lot of like U.S. politics content.
Yeah,
that's just because I can.
To at some point.
I can do that while I'm driving. I can do that while I'm like showering. And like working. Yeah,
that's true. Actually, I rarely actually watch YouTube. I'm much more often listening to like videos, unless it's like a meme video or something like that. I guess hence why I like these 10-hour long things I can just listen to and not worry about the visuals as much. But it's more like a podcast at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely not listening to film podcasts. It's too much of an overlap.
Fuck film podcasts.
Yeah.
Anybody who has a film podcast, you stink.
Have you seen the you've just reminded me for some reason, the Urban Dictionary definition for Sardonicast?
I'm not sure.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
I'd recommend looking it up. I think it's Urban Dictionary.
A group consisting of 3 or more gay men from differing nationalities. I went to the beach today and noticed a Sardonicast loudly expressing thoughts on film and television. That was from March 2018. And then there's a second one.
Oh, I don't know about the second one.
The second one is just a normal description of a podcast with 3 cynical assholes that talk about movies and other dumb shit.
Yeah. I don't know how I got there, but that just popped into my head right now.
Oh, you know what's funny? The first one I read, the username is Spencer Nolan Rice.
Oh wow.
Kenny versus Spenny reference. Sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we did it.
We did it. Thank you. Thanks for the questions, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a guest.
Oh.
Next episode. Some would call them a man.
A man.
Carrying a thing. It's man carrying thing. It's guesting
Hooray.
next episode. And they recommended that we talk about, can you drum roll? No Country for Old Men.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I think
Yeah.
I've seen this movie twice this year, so it is...
Oh, shit. Well, the
yeah.
4K
And the
Criterion
4K,
is out now.
yeah.
So it's good timing.
Beautiful. I can watch it in 4K.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll watch that film any day of the week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, sweet.
Nice.
Very hype. Thanks for listening, everybody. Support the show. $2 a month. Sardonicast.com. Premium. Patreon. Highlights. Shrek.
Shrek.
Cock 4. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.